So is that the same, was my next question, is that the key to making my emotions level up with my belief system and my knowing?
Give us a little bit more about what you mean.
So I know the difference between belief and knowing.
Yeah.
My beliefs are always subject to change, but
Yeah.
there is a knowing that cannot ever be shifted. And sometimes...
Well, let us describe the difference between the two. Let's start with doubt about something, and then let's say you've worked the bugs out of that, and now you're not just hoping, you're believing. But there's another degree between believing and knowing. Knowing is perfect in sync with source. That's knowing. And beliefs are on the way, on the way, on the way. And sometimes we say, well, your inner being believes. Esther finds those words, and then always we send another vibration so that she will find the word, your inner being knows. So there's still a little hope and belief that isn't there in knowing. In knowing, it is unequivocal, pure positive calibration to source energy. So what was your question again?
So how do I get my emotions to match up to that? Because I know that it's
your emotions are always an indicator of that. They're never off. Your emotions always tell the real story. Your emotions always indicate the alignment or discord between you and your inner being.
Maybe
always.
I mean feelings instead of emotions then.
Say again?
Maybe I mean feelings instead of emotions.
Doesn't matter what you call it.
I just feel like sometimes I know things like deep down inside, but for some reason I struggle with like just accepting it and just...
Well, all it is, we had that conversation just now a little bit. You want to know what we know about death, and you will know it when you croak, for sure.
I do understand death.
Many people, it's just something you're reaching for. You want to believe it. And so what you're really asking for is momentum on a subject. As you go longer and longer and longer in resonance with something, in complete calibration with your inner being until it becomes knowing, you reach the place where it doesn't matter what you're witnessing even or what somebody else is saying. You still know. You still know what your inner being knows. Here's the thing. It's not a wrong thing or a bad thing for you to be in a state of negative emotion any more than it's inappropriate for you to let your gas gauge go to empty on your car. As long as you're aware what the indicator means and you know what to do about it. It'd be pretty sad if you just ran out of gas and just junked the car. Nobody told me there was a gauge. It won't go anymore. I need to go get another one. Well, the same thing is true of your emotions. Sometimes you're in a place of negative emotion. That's a gauge too. That lets you know what to do next. So when you find yourself in negative emotion, just do your best to reach for the best feeling thought you can find, or take a nap, do something to stop the momentum of whatever it is that's causing you the discord, but then you'll come back into rejuvenation and renewal again. We are really not wanting to give you the impression that it is your job to tune in and stay there. We want you to know that this is an option that is yours, and that the more you practice it, the easier option it is. And the more you do it, the better you'll feel the more of the time. But we're not asking you to look at something that is horrible, like something that you might see on television, and not feel the discord of it. Of course, you're going to look at something sometimes. It's going to catch you off guard. Esther used to say to Jerry, you know, because he really enjoyed us. He really enjoyed Esther. He really enjoyed us. He really enjoyed Esther. And Esther would say sometimes, I think I'm just going to bring Abraham in, and you and Abraham can just live happily ever after. Because Abraham will never give you any grief. And he would say, can they cook? Abraham will never give you any grief. And then they would laugh. And Jerry would say, I like the fun of you. And then we would say, it's not your job to prepare yourself so that your inner being is living your life. Your inner being is a part of you, but the fun in being physical is to explore and go beyond. Your inner being has knowing that your new experiences will cause to expand. You're going to live life that's going to give your inner being new knowing. You don't want to just live to the knowing that your inner being already has. You want to make trouble for new knowing. Do you understand that?
Very good. Yes.
And so there's always going to be a gap in that vibrational frequency between human you and inner being you, and it's just what you came for. You are creators who came into this variety in order to feel the desire for something beyond what is. And we're not even talking about some factual what is, we're talking about some perceptual what is, because the billions of you on the planet have very different perceptions even of what is, and it's all so valuable to the whole, you see. But your inner being, oh, your inner being will so stay with you. Your inner being is so solid in knowing who you are and what source is, and when you find something new, your inner being is going to focus there in the moment that you find it, even if you aren't consciously aware of it. And your inner being is going to hold that new place, and there's going to be a gap between your belief and your knowing for a little while, until you calibrate to the full exhilaration of clarity that comes. And you know what? You know it when you paint. You know what that feels like. And since you know that, you can apply that to any other circumstance that you would ever live. You know that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.